Yep, it's me again. They hate us. This is why they give a fuck about us at the same time. I am your host, JD Miles. The MGTOWs, they love to hate. Even the ones that claim everybody loves to hate them, loves to hate MGTOW at the same time as always, which is why these retarded fucks keep us relevant to this very day, and I'm back again. For tonight's topic of discussion. And yeah, it seems that CNN wants to pick a fight with the Manosphere. Well, I hope CNN is ready for the clapback, in which y'all see the title. CNN picks a fight with the Manosphere and gets destroyed. And keep this in mind, fellas. This is the same far-left libtard CNN news outlet that is known for pushing lies and misinformation. The very same CNN known for slander and defamation. In fact, this is the same CNN that ends up getting sued for their slander and defamation. And before some low intellectual retarded fuck jump in front of their camera saying, JD Miles, you don't know what you're talking about, look the shit up. It's all over YouTube. In fact, you could go to YouTube search engine and type in CNN gets sued, and you will see all these stories of CNN getting sued out the wazoo. CNN getting sued for slander and defamation. And the crazy part, the ones suing CNN for that are winning their fucking cases. And CNN has to come out the pockets. But you got low intellectual retarded fucks out there who believe anything and everything CNN says because CNN decided to go after the Manosphere. And these are supposed to be highly intellectuals, yet they listen to a news outlet known for lies and misinformation. This lets you know just how very low their intellectual levels are. And before I go any further, shout out to MTR, Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews. I'll leave the link to his full video in the comment section. Go check it out. As well as I'm going to leave a link to a video that I made 2 weeks ago. How it's now impossible to censor the Manosphere. And everything that I said in that video is going to come to light in this right here. And I mean, CNN decided to pick a fight with the Manosphere, so now the Manosphere is about to clap back. But enough of me talking. Let's get down to business, shall we?
CNN just did a hit piece on the Manosphere, and I just saw it a second ago, guys. I am still shocked. And I know some people are probably thinking like, well, it's CNN. Why are you shocked? It's to the degree of the lies, right? It's to the degree of the inaccuracies. It's to the degree of the deflection that is used within this hit piece. And the thing is like, as a child, I used to look at these media organizations and think that they would have some type of journalistic value that they're giving. But now I'm beginning to understand that it has nothing to do with journalism or trying to be accurate to the truth. They're just looking for ratings, or they're looking to placate to their biases or the biases of the audience. They don't want to give the truth. They want to make them feel good. And this piece demonstrates just that. Guys, drop comments down up in here if you think that I should go live and we can have a live stream conversation back and forth. If this gets a lot of comments, I will go live because there's so much to say about this. But without.
To be honest, MTR, you should go live. In fact, if you go live, I'm here for it. Let's continue.
Further ado, inside the Manosphere. Let's go.
CNN's Donnie O'Sullivan got in the cage with former UFC star turned podcaster Jake Shields to explore the Manosphere and why exactly it's so popular.
Cool.
They speak liberal.
Wait a minute, who's this?
Friends.
I don't know.
They go online and they are a white supremacist.
What?
Of course, CNN do what they do best. When it comes to Manosphere, Red Pill, MGTOW, and all these male spaces, what do CNN do? They always want to bring a feminist in. Typical. But what did I said? The feminists are usually the main ones in this tragic comedy that's always got their nose in Manosphere business. But I said this before. Let's continue.
But
This is Vera
where's Jake?
Kosova. She spent the last year dating far-right men in New York City for a story for Cosmopolitan magazine.
For a
They're
story.
the most insecure men I've ever sat down with. It was really difficult to have some of these dates because they were so insecure because they don't really know who they are.
Where's Jake Shields at, baby? In the beginning, you said we was going to be talking with him. And now you have a cosmopolitan writing, feminist cookie cutter. I mean, if you look up feminist in the dictionary, it's her damn face. Talking about that she lied to far-right men to go on dates.
And the crazy part is she claimed that she went on dates with liberal men, but then turns out they are conservative in New York City, which is complete far left. And I know a lot of cats who live in New York City, and they're not conservative. So where is this retarded fuck shit coming from this feminist? Let's continue.
She turned out not liking those men. Oh, go figure. Yeah, she's not biased. Any guy saying anything positive about masculinity or manhood is considered far right to women like this. But
And the crazy part is the vast majority of the Manosphere don't have no political sides. None. But every time Manosphere gets brought up, these be the same retarded fucks talking about, oh, Manosphere is far right conservative. And they wonder why these retarded fucks wonder why they lost the presidential election. Oh, we're going to get deep into that as well. Let's continue.
let's proceed.
And they don't know how to figure that out.
She said the men she dated got all their news and information from the so-called Manosphere.
Sign
They did
language
not listen
specialist.
to anything else. They're only listening to independent media, and they're only
Good.
listening to men talking to men.
The Manosphere is
So in other words, and fellas, check this out. CNN is jealous. Yes, y'all heard me. CNN is jealous because men, in the vast majority, are listening to independent news outlets more than biased CNN itself. I wonder why. They wonder why. This is the reason why CNN has a problem with these independent news outlets. Everybody's listening to them and not their retarded fuck asses. Let's continue.
Fear is made up of macho podcasters and influencers.
Is that Tate?
There's no such thing as an independent female. Most women have zero concept of like money. Females don't have independent thought.
And once again, these retarded fucks is still trying so desperately hard to make Andrew Tate the face of the Manosphere. Even though Andrew Tate showed his disdain toward the Manosphere, Andrew Tate showed his disdain towards the groups of the Manosphere. And the Manosphere showed their disdain right back at Andrew Tate. Yet somehow these far left liberal retarded fucks still trying to make Andrew Tate the face of the Manosphere. All need to have several seats and shut the fuck up forever. Let's continue.
It's a space where UFC fighters.
Now, I will say, it is a fantastic marketing and branding strategy for them to bring out the far extremes of what are considered manosphere. Now, newsflash, CNN, Andrew Tate has never said that he is within the manosphere. And in fact, ask him about the manosphere, ask him about Red Pill, and he's like, that shit's for lames. You're utilizing him as a talking point within a piece that says inside the manosphere, and you're utilizing clips of someone that doesn't identify themselves in the manosphere.
Influencer.
Exactly, MTR. Exactly, MTR. But when we tried to tell them that, they're too fucking retarded to comprehend that notion. Let's continue.
What are y'all doing?
Most women have zero concept of like money.
Now, it looks like they grabbed this clip from Jake Shields' podcast. And the thing is like, again, you're taking the most extreme examples and saying that this is the gold standard. The context behind what he's saying is that women have the majority of consumer debt. Now, that's the way or the context that I would bring it up in a conversation. But because I don't say these types of blanketed statements, it's not going to be the things that get clipped up. But do you guys see how easy it is to snip different things out of different videos and utilize it in order to push a bias? But if you didn't add context.
Exactly. And on top of that, they're still doing they're still going back to the same tactics that failed them from the very start. What is CNN trying to do? What is these anti-manosphere retarded fucks is trying to do? They're trying to make the manosphere as one big group think. When in reality, the manosphere consists of several groups all together. And they wonder why they stay losing to the manosphere. They still can't comprehend that. Let's continue.
Context to that, then you guys are beginning to see why I also said that I'm not a part of the manosphere so many years ago. If you can't control the brand of something, detach yourself and create your own. Let's go.
Females don't have independent thought.
It's a space where UFC fighters are among those who reign supreme.
They love the UFC guys. They love the MMA guys because those guys do what they
firing
can.
shots at
They're
the UFC now.
Gladiators. They're badass.
Oh, boy. And what does the UFC in MML... Oh, my God. Let me start over. What does the UFC and MMA fighters got anything to do with the manosphere? What? Because two of the retired UFC fighters got a podcast in the manosphere, so that automatically means all UFC, all MMA fighters are all part of the manosphere? Does this retarded fuck-ass feminist hear herself talk? I doubt it. And to be honest, I won't be surprised at all if UFC and MMA be the next ones to sue the fuck out of CNN for this. But what do we expect? What do we expect here from the outsiders? What I said in my last video about the outsiders. The outsiders do what they do best. Always on the outside looking in, thinking they have the manosphere all figured out. But when they open their fat lips, it's clear to see that they don't know shit. And she just proved that point entirely. Oh, the manosphere consists of UFC and MMA fighters and gladiators. Really? Because of what? Only 2 retired fighters are part of it? So just because 2 retired MMA and UFC fighters have a podcast in the manosphere, that automatically means that each and every UFC fighter, each and every MMA fighter are now part of the manosphere, according to this dumb feminist. Get the fuck out of here. Let's continue.
badass like Jake Shields, a former
Okay, here we
UFC
go.
star turned podcaster.
And the reason why they're firing shots at the UFC is because both Elon Musk as well as Trump frequent UFC events. So now UFC to CNN is enemy number maybe 3. Let's go.
And I hope both UFC and MMA sues the shit out of CNN, because at this point, once again, CNN has not learned their lesson when it comes to slander and defamation. Let's continue.
All right. Now I'm starting to feel nervous.
Why are you feeling nervous?
Who I met at an MMA gym in Las Vegas.
What?
Like all great MMA pros.
Taking an asthma pump? Hold up. This is what y'all want being represented as men?
We have a problem.
Ladies, take a look at what the goddamn, look at the soy-filled Twinkie boy taking an asthma pump before he even gets into the goddamn cage. They wonder why they've lost so many men on their side of the political spectrum. Because
Exactly. This is the men that these feminists want? Is this the definition of what a man is supposed to be according to the feminists? Weak, soyed up, effeminate, should care about his feelings and emotions, the whole 9 yards. Is this what the feminists is this the feminist definition of what a real man should be like? Yeah, all the men are saying hard pass on that shit. Let's continue.
Because this is what your example of man is, of masculinity. He looked like he's never been into the gym. This is their ideal man. Low testosterone with a punchable face.
I've never
Squealing.
What the fuck is you squealing for? It's not like you're in a real fight, you weak little boy. Let's continue.
back. Hit me. KO. This is CNN. Do you miss being full time?
Indeed, that is CNN. Weak men that can't even fend themselves in the octagon. Oh my Lord.
I'm pro, like in terms of
you know, of course I miss it. To go from professional athlete, which is the highest of highs, to retirement.
And I guess
That's tough.
Yeah, the podcast has helped. You could fall into depression if you just go from the most amazing career where you're famous and spotlights to all of a sudden you're nobody.
Sure.
It's
Like
real.
other podcasters in the Manosphere, Jake regularly hosts controversial guests.
And I named the podcast Fighting Back. I feel like we have to fight back.
Another thing I need to talk about is the fact that they only talking about one part of the Manosphere, which are podcasts. What they're not talking about is the other parts of the Manosphere. I wonder why. Oh, that's right. CNN pick and choose. CNN cherry picks on what to talk about here, because CNN does not want to show the other side of the Manosphere that will make them look like complete and utter idiots. Let's continue.
Fight back what we're told we're allowed to do. I just don't like to be told you're not allowed to talk to this person. Like, why can't I talk to him? I'm not saying I agree with his ideology.
I agree with him.
Hear what he has to say.
He's hosted the former Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan.
Today I have a very, very special guest, Dr. David Duke. I know you're controversial, but I have no idea how.
Another thing that I talk about in that video is race baiting. And notice how CNN will try their very hardest to try to make the Manosphere be about racism and white supremacy, while disregarding the fact that other races are also in the Manosphere. But that's right. CNN also believes that the Manosphere is only limited to the United States, only limited to the UK, only limited to the West, when in reality the Manosphere is universally known. And every man and every man of every race is all part of the manosphere. But CNN won't say that shit. Let's continue.
Yeah, how controversial.
And Thomas Russo, the leader of the white supremacist group Patriot Front.
Let's go where we disagree a little bit.
Yes.
Let's hit race, because you're a white-only group?
So the organization only allows people of American ethnicity, and all Americans, I believe, come from Europe, so they're white.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I understand and talk to these guys, but I've also not brought anyone hateful. If I do, I'm going to be really on top of them.
He's going to push back.
You saying that you haven't brought someone hateful on, right? People say, well, you brought on the Grand Wizard of the KKK, you brought on Patriot Front.
Yeah.
They're hateful.
No, I think those are excellent questions, but
Yeah.
As I said, these retarded fucks want to make it be all about race, when in reality, race has nothing to do with the manosphere. All races of men are welcomed in the manosphere, and these race baiters need to shut the fuck up forever. Let's continue.
But if people watch the actual interviews, I think they would be like, "Oh, this guy's not near as hateful as if I expected it."
Now, I 100% agree with Jake Shields right here. I think that the best way to understand someone's points and positions is to actually have a conversation with them. Sit down and talk with them, not hear a CNN or even a Fox News describe what that interview was like. But however, if your guests that you're interviewing only represent one side of it, you could go get other races of people that are racist towards white people, sit them down and have a conversation with them, if the goal is to uncover the truths about the things that happen within society. But if there's only one type...
Exactly. While they focus on one side, they got other sides too that are completely racist against whites as well. But CNN ain't going to talk about that, and we all know about that. Let's continue.
Type of person spewing one type of shit, then in effect you're giving them a platform to be able to do it, and you're going to attract that audience of those people with those types of views. But I like what Jake is saying is that even when he invites these people up to have a conversation, he's pushing back if they go over the top. By the way, would you guys rather have a military of Jake Shields or a military of Jigglypoofs? But yeah, if you only have white supremacists on, well, then it gives the perception that you as a podcaster are a white supremacist. It actually made me think of this video right here where Gideon, a black podcaster, live streamer, content creator, met up with Tom Robb, the leader of the KKK, and they had conversation. I don't think that's him right there. There he goes right there. Look at the sheer shock in this man's eyes. But people with different thoughts, feelings, ideologies, if they had platforms to just talk about it, I bet you a lot of this shit can get worked out.
Back to that.
But Vera says hate isn't what the men she dated
Who cares
were
about
really
her?
looking for.
One of these guys brought me to a political meeting.
And did they talk about politics?
Barely. They talked about, it was a bunch of men complaining about girlfriends and wives, regurgitating Andrew Tate type of advice about how to train.
Why is she even talking? No, seriously. Oh, this guy brought me to this political event, but they're not talking about political. Again, we got an outsider looking in, thinking that she has the manosphere figured out, but every time she opens up her lips, she does not know what the fuck she's talking about. And more importantly, why she's being subliminal. Why she's being subliminal? What's the name of this meeting this so-called man brought you to, ma'am? And moreover, why is you only talking about this meeting? Why is you only talking about this meeting? Should you have video evidence of this meeting taking place? Especially if it's all about social media? You would, right. Yeah, she would have this video evidence. Instead, all we hearing is just her fat lips clocking 100 miles an hour. But people are supposed to listen to that and believe every goddamn word she says. Fuck that. Let's continue.
your girlfriend, how to train your wife to be submissive. And so this group was supposed to be a political group, but they're talking about relationship problems.
Again, retard. The vast majority of the Manosphere is not political. They don't have a political side. They're not left wing, and they damn sure ain't right wing. So where is this coming from? Out the hole of your ass? Let's continue.
And the fact that that's what most of the time was spent on, you don't need to be a neo-Nazi. You need therapy.
I had to come to a profile. I don't believe a dick.
And let me go ahead and just say this off the gate. The vast majority of these retarded fucks who wants to go around telling people that they need therapy, their asses need therapy their own damn selves. Hey, they might as well take those people and themselves for a whole therapy session. And yes, what I'm saying is actually the truth. The vast majority of these clowns who wants to point fingers and tell people that they need to seek therapy also needs to seek therapy their own damn selves. But let's continue.
The damn word that she's saying, okay, ma'am, that's all that they talked about. Sure. And just like I thought, Super Saiyan feminist, way over the wall, likes to show off her hamstrings and shit like that on her basic ass profile. Forever single, with no one wanting to sign up for her man-hating bullshit, utilizing the comfort of being a journalist to spread her ideology. Listen, you guys had a conversation with Jake Shield. He treated you like a sweetheart. How about you show us more from that interview, but instead we get secondhand accounts? Did you record the meeting? Can we hear them talk about this shit, or are we just gonna believe your hearsay bullshit? Let's see if they bring up some of Jake Shield's.
Yep. That's all we hearing. We ain't seeing nothing. No recordings, no video evidence, just them clocking their mouths 100 miles an hour. And once again, we are expected to believe that retarded fuck shit. Fuck out of here. Let's continue.
Shields interview.
You need therapy.
Again.
The appeal of Jake's podcast speaks to a need among young men in this country.
Okay.
That Vera says can't be ignored.
You have to incentivize someone to want to be better. You can't just say, let's make men better. The thing about these guys is their biggest support system is online, but that also is very isolating, and isolation is what breeds hatred.
Oh, shit! Okay, feminists. If you believe isolation creates bullshit, then I already know you think stoicism is bullshit. And we all know you're full of it. Oh, isolation creates hatred. How? No. I ain't gonna hear your fucking mouth. I want to see actual statistics of this. I want to see bars. I want to see pie graphs. Not you running your mouth. Let's continue.
No, it doesn't. Shit, I like being alone. I like being within my own thoughts. What are you talking about? Maybe you alone thinking about your life accomplishments, it breeds hatred for yourself. And then you project that bitterness onto the conservative men that you chose to date for your cockamamie story. But no, being treated like shit breeds hatred. Unfair or unjust family court laws will breed hatred. Having your thoughts, opinions, ideologies ignored might breed hatred at a rate where men are ending themselves 4 times the rate as women. For men, there's some real issues and some real challenges that's going on, but instead you're saying isolation breeds contempt.
Groups like Patriot Front offer a community based on racism and hate.
People have to really think about, do you have the capacity
this is so crazy
that you don't agree with? Because that one nice conversation you might have might change someone's day enough to not have to seek out help in an online support group, which is actually a bunch of white supremacists using political belief.
And once again, she just put her foot in her mouth. Still trying to race bait, still trying to make the Manosphere be about white supremacy and white nationalism, while once again disregarding all the other races as part of the Manosphere. And yes, I have to say, make the retarded logic make sense. There's a bunch of racists and white supremacists in the Manosphere. But there are also other races that's part of the Manosphere. You got men all across the world, not just in the U.S., not just in Europe. You got men in Africa. You got men in Asia. You got men in the Pacific Islands. You got men all over that's part of the Manosphere. Yet somehow the Manosphere is racist white supremacists. Again, make the retarded logic make sense, ma'am. Let's continue.
Beliefs as an excuse for how they feel.
And it's so crazy, too, because Andrew Tate's not white. Fresh and Fit not white. I wish someone who's looking for the truth would actually do a study on how many men that look at Manosphere content would describe.
Absolutely, MTR. Andrew Tate, Fresh and Fit, they're not black. They're not white. Andrew Tate is mixed. Fresh and Fit, all black. Yet everyone is to be convinced that the Manosphere is racist white supremacist, according to some dumb blonde-haired feminist who thinks she has the Manosphere figured out and don't know shit. Let's continue.
Describe themselves as far right. I bet you it's ridiculously small. But what they're doing here is simply fear-mongering. This is why independent media has been whipping their asses for years now, because people
straight up. Now back to that, Manosphere are far-right conservative bullshit. I've already said it before. I'm not going to say it again. But this is the reason why their asses, their Democratic presidential candidate lost the election, and it's this shit right here. I believe Uncle JD said this before. In a situation where you're gonna put people on a side, guess what's gonna happen? That side is going to vote for the person you put the asses on. And look how it turned out. That's right. Donald Trump is your president of the United States, not Kamala Harris. Now look at their sorry asses CBCing, crying, bitching, and complaining because Trump is in office. All Uncle JD can say is this: they asses only got themselves to blame. They only got themselves to blame. This is what happens when you put people on a side. And guess what happened? But wait a second, isn't this the same CNN that was whining and crying about how the Manosphere helped Donald Trump win the election? Yeah, this is the same news outlet, right? But what were they doing? They were putting everybody on a side. Oh, if you're Manosphere, then you're far-right conservative. And guess what happened? Since they wanted to make the Manosphere far-right conservative, guess what happened? They voted Republican. Now these are the same retarded fucks who wants to CBC, cry, bitch, and complain because Donald Trump is the president, and they still crying about Kamala Harris losing that presidential election. Let's continue.
Because people are tired of this same old fake news bullshit. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves.
Donny O'Sullivan is here with us now. Donny, I'm so glad you've done this special. There's so much intrigue around this issue of the Manosphere. And in fact, Trump is going to the UFC tonight. How big of a role does the sport play in the Manosphere?
Wow.
Hey, Isabel. Yeah, and look, we should point out
at the start here. There's tons of guys who are fans, and some women as well, who are fans of the UFC. I have many friends who are fans of the UFC. It certainly does not mean, that if you are a fan of the UFC, you are falling sort of down this rabbit hole of white supremacy and everything else. But what we are seeing is that there is this sort of this crossover. The UFC is playing a greater and bigger role, really, in American life. Joe Rogan, who's the world's...
Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. And once again, I must say, if the UFC and MMA sues CNN for this article, I won't blame them at all. Because look how CNN is trying so hard to make the UFC as some sort of leniency in the Manosphere. No, UFC, MMA, they have nothing to do with the Manosphere at all, just because two of their fighters has a podcast in the Manosphere. This is what CNN wants everybody to believe. And yes, it's stupid as fuck that they even tried to pull a stunt like this. But let's continue.
The world's biggest podcaster is a UFC commentator. Dana White, who is the founder of the UFC, is a prominent Trump supporter and was recently appointed to the board of Meta by Mark Zuckerberg himself, another big MMA and UFC fan. And actually fighting tonight in Miami. Trump is going to the event. We're not sure if he'll be there for the earlier fights, but fighting tonight in Miami at the UFC event is a fighter by the name of Bryce Mitchell, who recently set up a podcast of his own. And on his debut episode a few months ago, he said that Hitler was a quote-unquote good guy or a great guy.
Objection to hearsay. And on top of that, instead of this soy boy talking about it, why don't he show the clip? Oh, there's a reason why he doesn't want to show the clip. I wonder why.
Dana White, the head of the UFC, was quick to condemn that, but you can just kind of see there where folks who might be coming into this sport for one reason are fan of fighting, and then they're getting exposed to views like Bryce Mitchell's.
There has never been a movement, there's never been an organization to exist ever that doesn't have certain people within it that have extreme ideologies. The thing is that when they are extreme, those are the ones that hate media attention. And the smooth brain of the population will think that the small minority of people with these ideologies must represent everybody that exists in it, right? You at a date with the chick and you talking with her and you're like, so what are your hobbies? She says her bullshit. She goes back to you and you say, oh, I like mixed martial arts. I like to box. I like to watch the UFC. And then you turn and you look at her and she looking at you like, you must be a white supremacist. And you just looking back at her like, yep, I guess that this conversation is done, because she's a lemming to the media that she's been exposed to. Back in the day when I used to hear Trump, like in the 2015-ish, 2016-ish, talk about things such as fake news, I understood what he was saying, but I never really got it until I got on the other side of creating media. And then I began to see, to the degree of fake that exists. I'd rate the accuracy meter here a 0 out of 10, but I would also rate the fear-mongering meter here a 10 out of 10. And maybe a...
Straight up. I mean, and this is all there is to it. This is nothing more than a fear-mongering propaganda hit piece by CNN in a desperate attempt to try to push fear-mongering propaganda against the Manosphere. And to make it even more retarded, this ain't CNN's first attempt. CNN tried to pull this same stunt before years ago, and it failed. And if anything, the only thing CNN is doing is what I constantly say in the end. The only thing CNN is doing is giving the Manosphere, Red Pill, MGTOW, and all these male spaces relevancy. They're giving the Manosphere free advertisement. They're giving the Manosphere free promotion because let's be upfront and real. The vast majority may not even know what the Manosphere is, but when they listen to these retarded fucks try to give out their version of the Manosphere, but when they go check out the Manosphere and they find out it's a whole different ball game than what bias, lies, and misinformation that CNN push out, guess what happened? The Manosphere grows even larger. And they wonder why it's hard to stop the Manosphere. Now I'm gonna stop this video right here, because I don't like listening to CNN, and I don't want to lose any more brain cells listening to this retarded fuckery. But again, shout out to MTR, Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews. If you want to watch his full video in its entirety, I'll leave the link in the comment section. Go check it out. Tell him JD Mouse sent you, as well as check out my video as well, because I gave a complete breakdown of all of this. But nevertheless, I said what I had to say. I'm done with far left libtard CNN and their biased bullshit, and I'm out this bitch. Later.